You don't need to.
It's okay.
A dream is something that I want to do in the future.
A dream is something that you're passionate about.
My definition of a dream is something that you strive for, something that you can't give up on until you get it.
I dream about popcorn. Get an education.
I want my own clothing line.
Own a house on Mannheim, this yellow house.
I want to get back to my mom for what she has done for me and my brothers and my sisters and just raising us.
I want to be an orthodontist.
Professional sports player.
A lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Architectural engineer.
A professional singer and a criminal justice lawyer.
A basketball player.
An elementary teacher.
Astronaut. My hero is my parents. Wonder Woman.
Barry Sanders.
God.
My twin brother.
My hero is my mama. My family.
Definitely Mike.
Who are my heroes? I believe hero is almost an understatement because they are like the world. Miss Sims, Miss Gasway, and probably Mr. Neal. Everyone who's ever taught me. Junior Achievement has helped me create new experiences.
They exposed me to different careers and opportunities, and it was very inspirational.
Junior Achievement has shaped my dreams. They have prepared me for what's out there, and they say it might not be your profession, but you can still make a difference in the world.
Just be helpful and nice and care for people. To stay in school and get an education. And they gotta always listen to their teacher.
And if you want something, you can do it. Just go try it.
Never stop going for your goals.
For others to expect the best out of you, you have to expect the best out of yourself.
Do not listen to anyone who tells you that you cannot do something.
Focus on your dreams and goals and never give up. Just keep trying.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the chairman of Conagra Brands and chairman of Junior Achievement of Chicago Board, Mr. Rick Lenny.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the 36th Annual Chicago Business Hall of Fame. Thank you for joining Junior Achievement as we celebrate Mary Dillon, David Nelms, and Rick Waddell. All three are accomplished business leaders as well as civic leaders of Chicago. Junior Achievement's work is significant, substantial, and enduring. Our programs positively address the key issues of youth development, workforce readiness, financial literacy, and staying in school. JA enables students to experience firsthand the connection between what they learn in school and the world of work. This school year, JA Chicago will impact over 620,000 students in our 12-county area. Please join 14,000 of your peers who will volunteer for JA in classrooms throughout Chicago. By doing so, you'll have a positive, lifelong impact on our students. Tonight's Hall of Fame event is made possible by our generous sponsors. The platinum sponsors are CDW Corporation, Discover Financial Services, David and Daryl Nelms, Northern Trust, and Ulta Beauty. We received exceptional support from our gold, silver, bronze sponsors, individual ticket holders, and student ambassador sponsors. All of tonight's supporters are listed in your program. Please join me in thanking them for their support. Junior Achievement owes a special thanks to our Blue Ribbon panel of former laureates chaired by Jim Farrell. Jim did an exceptional job leading the selection process. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our MC for the evening, Courtney Guzman. Courtney is an Emmy-nominated journalist reporting the latest breaking news on WGN Morning News. Courtney's from Chicago's Beverly neighborhood and a proud graduate of Chicago Public Schools. Please welcome Courtney Guzman.
Good evening, everyone.
I wish I could see you a little better. It's so bright up here and it's so dark out there, but you guys look lovely from what I can tell. Thank you so much for having me tonight, Junior Achievement. I appreciate being here. Tonight, the 36th year that the Chicago Hall of Fame is taking place with Junior Achievement. And tonight we share the stories of three exceptional people, Miss Mary Dillon, Mr. Rick Waddell, and Mr. David Nelms. Now, this is a very special group because not only of the imprint that they've made in the Chicago area, but because they have many lessons that they can teach us here in this room about setting goals, about being business pioneers, and achievement through teamwork. Now, we're lucky this evening to have the opportunity to hear from these individuals. They're going to share their very own personal philosophies on success and advice for future generations, which is always great when they can pass on a good word and some advice. Now, Junior Achievement has been honoring the most distinguished business leaders here in Chicago since 1983. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but it's a little bit close to when I was born. And they've provided over 170 honorees with honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, this evening is a tribute to all they have done to help create Chicago's history and make it such a great place to conduct business. I am pleased to see former inductees here, and they are supporting this new class of 2018. Now, we have three very talented young speakers here to tell you about each laureate's story this evening. Each student has specifically chosen as a model of ambition and achievement, mirroring the images of who we will be inducting tonight. And now it's time to bring our first student, speaker Elise Hopkins. She's going to tell the story of Mary Dillon. Now, Elise is a senior at South Shore International College Prep. Anyone else here from South Shore? Graduates of South Shore out there? No? Okay, well, Elise is going to represent for South Shore. Her high school is on the south side of Chicago, very near where Mary grew up, and her favorite subject in school is math. I loved math too. Her favorite subject is math, and she hopes and plans to attend college after graduating high school. Elise loves to help others, and she wants to be an entrepreneur when she grows up. Please welcome to the stage, Elise Hopkins.
Good evening. Tonight, I am very excited to introduce Ms. Mary Dillon, the CEO of Ulta Beauty, the largest beauty retailer in the United States, and my favorite store. Ms. Dillon was born in Chicago, specifically West Englewood, in 1961. She is the fourth of 6 children. Her dad worked as a Chicago steel worker, and her mom as a homemaker. Her family moved to Darien when she was a teenager. Ms. Dillon started working at a young age, but received her first real paycheck from Jewel Osco at the age of 16. She first worked in the candy and tobacco department and then moved on to cosmetics. Even then, she had ideas on how to improve product layout and more, but remembers not being asked her opinion. This early experience continues to influence the importance she places today on listening to Ulta Beauty associates who are in stores closest to the guests. Ms. Dillon paid her way through college at the University of Illinois at Chicago by working part-time jobs as a bank teller, cleaning houses, and waitressing at R.J. Grunt's. And yes, her picture is still there on the wall. Ms. Dillon also met her future husband, Terry, while at UIC. Along with her siblings, Ms. Dillon is the first-generation college graduate, earning her bachelor's degree in marketing and Asian studies in 1984. While Ms. Dillon knows she is not the only CEO to come from a modest background, it is a big part of why today she is so proud to be leading a company that is growing and creating thousands of jobs and careers every year. Ms. Dillon credits her father with instilling in her a strong work ethic, deep curiosity, and a strong sense of humility. Both of her parents were very proud when she landed her first job at Quaker Oats Company in 1984. She was the first person ever accepted to the company's marketing associate program who did not graduate from an Ivy League school. Her parents told her, "You are going to work very hard for your salary." They were right. In her time at Quaker, Ms. Dillon went above and beyond getting to know customers of all brands she worked on as a marketing leader. This even included running the Chicago Marathon to better understand distance runners' needs when she was in charge of marketing for Gatorade. Mary ultimately served as a president of the Quaker Foods division after the company was acquired by PepsiCo. Ms. Dillon wanted to keep her family and career in Chicago, but gained global experience. This led to her joining McDonald's as the company's global chief marketing officer. There, she was passionate about connecting with parents and families, and among her innovations was creating a global moms panel and making the Happy Meal healthier for kids. Ms. Dillon left McDonald's to accept her first CEO job with U.S. Cellular, where she spent 3 years learning all she could to successfully lead in technology sector, and even testify in front of a Congress on one occasion. Ms. Dillon was named CEO of Ulta Beauty in 2013, her first job in retail since her time at Osco when she was 16. Ms. Dillon accepted the role as she thought it was the perfect home, a company founded on strong customer insight about how women shop for beauty and that was performing well but had great opportunity ahead. Ulta Beauty targets beauty enthusiasts like me, who like to have fun while shopping for their beauty, who like to have fun shopping for beauty in their more than 1,100 stores, and in all 50 states as of this week, and on Ulta.com. In her 5 years with the company, Ms. Dillon has grown Ulta Beauty to become the nation's largest beauty retailer. She and her team have doubled sales, added the best beauty brands and exclusive products, opened hundreds of new stores, and driven outstanding growth on Ulta.com. Ms. Dillon believes strongly in creating common purpose and in building a culture that values the perspectives of her diverse team. She oversees more than 40,000 associates, 92% of whom are women, and has created more than 16,000 new jobs and promoted more than 6,000 women to leadership roles. She makes about 20 store visits across the country each year and spends much of that time in roundtables with associates, having candid conversations and fielding their questions in order to build a stronger Ulta Beauty. Ms. Dillon is passionate about giving back to the community and future business leaders. She established the Ulta Beauty Charitable Foundation in 2016 to enhance the education and well-being of women and their families through a focus on breast cancer research, economic empowerment, and education. She also created an associate relief program to assist members of Ulta Beauty family who are facing hardship. Ms. Dillon also serves on the board of directors for Starbucks, the Ounce of Prevention Fund, the World Business Chicago, the Economic Club of Chicago, the Executives Club of Chicago. She also serves on the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago. Through it all, Ms. Dillon's main source of satisfaction, self-confidence, and strength have not been about her career, but her family. Her husband of 34 years, Terry, her 4 grown children, Jack, Maggie, Maura, and Fiona, and her large extended family. She knows their support has allowed her to build a career that she is extremely proud of. They celebrate the choices she has made, and she has taught them to celebrate the choices they make for themselves, and to treat the choices of others with respect and appreciation. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Dillon to the stage.
What are you doing in about 4 years? Wow, that was amazing. You did a great job. So thank you, and thank you for shopping at Ulta Beauty. I appreciate that, and a few other of the young women here tonight who told me that they're Ulta Beauty fans. Let me just say a few things. As somebody who's grown up and built a career and raised my family in and around this great city, I am really honored and delighted to be inducted into Junior Achievement's Chicago Business Hall of Fame, along with David and Rick tonight, and the many others who've been recognized over the last 35 years. I am really proud to have many of my Ulta Beauty family here tonight, as well as several friends. to celebrate the important work that Junior Achievement does. Now, with as big of a family as I have, as you've learned about, it's hard to believe none of them could be here tonight, but my 4 children are off all across the country, deep into college and jobs, and unfortunately my mother-in-law is quite ill and my husband couldn't be here tonight. He would have loved to have been here, but my family are for sure here in spirit. They are my biggest fan club, and believe me, they will get a big kick out of some of those pictures, which I've successfully never showed some of them to them before. So I just know that many people in this room understand firsthand the impact that business can have on society, jobs, community development, and innovation. And I know how much the leaders in this room give back of their talent and their time and their resources to the many communities across Chicago. Now, maybe not all of the actions taken by every business are good, but I believe when businesses are led by people of strong values who are always striving to do the right thing, free enterprise is one of the greatest assets of our country. In fact, my story is kind of the American dream, as you heard from Elise. Both my grandfathers emigrated from Ireland in the early 1900s, and they worked in coal mines and steel factories, as did my father. Early on, you can imagine, I did not ever imagine being a CEO. I didn't even know anybody in business until I graduated from college and had my first real job. But you know what? I was ambitious. I kept pushing myself harder. I treated people with respect, and I learned along the way that anything is possible, as we heard from the children in the video. And now I have the great honor to run Ulta Beauty. And for us at Ulta Beauty, it really is all about job and career creation. It's about assisting women and children in our communities and using beauty to unleash the possibilities for all. And we have taken a stand that beauty is limitless, and we're embracing and celebrating that with inclusive, empowering, and confidence-building roles that we believe beauty can play in all the lives that we touch. So I just want to share a few thoughts on leadership and some of the themes that have guided me along the way. First and foremost, I've learned to really understand the end customer, the consumer, deeply, empathetically, meaningfully, and really letting those insights drive all of our business actions. And secondly, you wouldn't be surprised to know hand in hand comes with treating employees with the respect that they deserve, because they know better than anybody else what's working and what's not working. And the third principle is pretty simple. I call it just keeping it real. You know, humility, humanity, authenticity, it doesn't have to be lost the further up you go. I'll never forget that my great friend and mentor, Andy McKenna, who's here tonight, once said to me, "Mary, what I really like about you is you're not complicated." And I was like, okay, is that a compliment? I'm not sure. And he assured me it was a compliment. And what can I say? With me, what you see is what you get. So, and as business leaders, there's so many wonderful business leaders here in the audience tonight. We have a huge impact on organizations, on industries, on communities. You know, as one of only 24 women who are CEOs in the Fortune 500 today, you can imagine I often get asked the question about how I view my role in all of this. And I'll say I just feel a very deep sense of obligation, because after all, we're still having this conversation. And clearly there's a lot more work to be done. But one thing I will mention to all the leaders here tonight in the room, I know many of you personally and your values around inclusion and diversity, but there's something that might be hard for you to relate to. And let me share this. If you're the minority in the room, it's really hard to know sometimes when to speak up. It often feels hard to be seen or even heard. And sometimes, so my advice is don't hesitate to call on us directly in meetings and small group conversations. Ask us to share our experiences, our perspectives, our point of view. Sometimes it just takes being asked. And also, let me add, go ahead and second our opinion when you agree. Because it's really powerful when you go out on a limb and someone of power in the room agrees with you, it goes a really long way. And finally, to the students in the audience, let me just give you a few thoughts. One, it is okay to be ambitious. Okay, ambition is a word that most women don't talk about. If you're ambitious, I say go for it. Opportunity is all around you. And also demonstrate curiosity and initiative. So for example, just don't take a test and just get the work done or just do what's expected. Do what's unexpected too, like the young people here tonight. You're really standing out as leaders. And if you can show that you can think and operate at a level above where you are, I promise you that will be noticed. So once again, I just want to thank Junior Achievement for this wonderful honor. It's truly a privilege to be part of this great Chicago business community. And cheers to a great night ahead. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ms. Dillon. I feel like I should know you, though. Can I tell you, I feel like I'm a part of the rise and success of Ulta. I am a Platinum Rewards Beauty member. We need to talk after this. I feel like I should know you. I spend so much money. You guys are on WGN every day, just so you know. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Mary. Our next student presenter is Lizette Benavides. She will introduce Rick Waddell. Lizette is a junior at Pritzker College Prep in Chicago. Northern Trust is a large supporter of the Noble Network of Charter Schools, including Lizette's high school. Lizette's favorite subject is humanities. She is on her school's speech and debate teams, and she's a leader in her class. After high school, Lizette plans to attend a 4-year university in the hopes of becoming a politician one day. And I can't wait to vote for her. Please welcome, we have to meet Miss Lizette Benavides. Where are you, Lizette?
Thank you, Ms. Guzman. What is the mark of a great business leader? A long track record, a steadily growing company, a strong advocate for diversity, inspiring leadership, grace under pressure? Northern Trust Chairman Rick Waddell demonstrates all of those attributes as a leader. And something more. A strong sense of service to clients, colleagues, and communities. As a longtime friend says, Rick has a passion for Northern Trust, who he works with and who he works for. For Rick, it's all about your character, not your power. Frederick H. Waddell was born on June 14, 1953 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the second of 5 children born to Bob and Sally Waddell. His was a loving family focused on education while making time for traditions, such as spending summers in Chautauqua in Western New York. In grade school and high school, he distinguished himself as a student and an athlete. There seemed to be no sport he did not enjoy, excelling at baseball, football, squash, and tennis. As much as the thrill of competition, Mr. Waddell learned to love the discipline of working on the fundamentals and putting in time for practice. Mr. Waddell was accepted at Dartmouth College, where he studied political science. By the end of junior year, he was voted president of his Kappa Sigma fraternity, providing valuable lessons in taking care of people and assets, and interacting with stakeholders, such as college committees and leaders. He also met one of the most important people in his life, fellow Dartmouth student and future wife, Kate. On August 4th, 1975, at the age of 22, Mr. Waddell joined Northern Trust as a service representative in the baking department. In his first year as an employee, Mr. Waddell volunteered to have a regular amount of his $11,000 per year salary taken out to contribute to United Way. Some 40 years later, United Way of Metropolitan Chicago would honor Mr. Waddell with the Lifetime Leadership Award for years of energetic support that turned Northern Trust into one of the area's top United Way donors. As CEO, Mr. Waddell was a tireless advocate of United Way, even volunteering to sit inside a dunk tank as staff members tossed balls seeking to douse a leader. Always eager to learn, Mr. Waddell attended night classes and earned an MBA at Northwestern University to help advance his knowledge and career. The extra education, coupled with continuously pushing himself to take on stretch assignments and responsibilities, paid off. Over the decades, Mr. Waddell served in 15 different roles at Northern Trust, including leadership roles across the bank's personal and institution-focused businesses. He served as Chief Executive Officer from 2008 through 2017 and continues today as Chairman, a role he has held since 2009. Mr. Waddell became CEO the same year that the world faced the greatest financial crisis since the Depression. At a time when other institutions faltered or failed, he led Northern Trust to a new position of strength and growth. During his time as CEO, Northern Trust's revenue increased 54% to more than $5 billion annually. Net income, or profits, increased 65% to $1.2 billion annually. Northern Trust is regularly recognized as a leading company, winning many awards including Best Private Bank in the U.S. from the Financial Times Group for 8 of the last 9 years. Mr. Waddell is a board member of AbbVie and IBM and many nonprofit organizations, including the Art Institute of Chicago, Chicago Symphony Orchestra, Northwestern University, and the United Way of Metropolitan Chicago. His role has brought him in contact with many people, including U.S. presidents. Despite his significant responsibilities and vaunted career, Mr. Waddell makes a point of keeping work and life demands in balance. He often says he prioritizes faith, family, and friends above his work life, even though work takes up most of his time. He is a devoted father and grandfather with 2 sons, Frederick and Charlie, and 3 beautiful grandchildren. Mr. Waddell is an authentic leader. He keeps a sign outside of his office with 5 old-fashioned keys in a frame entitled Keys of Leadership. Underneath each key are the following words: integrity, vision, visibility, balance, no ego. Rick considers it a privilege to work for what he regularly calls the greatest company in the world, says one colleague. That enthusiasm for Northern Trust is no small part in the company's success. So what is the mark of a great business leader? For Rick Waddell, it's a lifetime of caring and character, working hard, serving others, building communities, and having fun while you're at it. Please welcome Mr. Frederick H. Waddell.
I want to just say a couple of things before I talk about, as Mary did so eloquently, some of the challenges that leaders face. I can tell you right now that I would not be here if it weren't for my wife, Kate, who was called out at Dartmouth College. When I went to Dartmouth in 1971, it was an all-male college. I was the last entering all-male class. And fortunately, the trustees had the wisdom to vote in coeducation this fall of my freshman year, and Kate arrived on campus our sophomore year. She had been at Smith. And she says we met that sophomore year. I don't remember that. I certainly remember our junior year. And our senior year, things were rolling along. And she actually, I think it was a good thing, she took a job with Price Waterhouse in New York, and I, of course, came to Chicago to work for the Northern Trust. But it was strong enough that we dated that next year, and we got married. And as I say all the time, the best thing that I got out of my Dartmouth education is my wife, Kate. The other, I would not be here, obviously with lots of support from people like Andy McKenna, who was mentioned, and a lot of the honorees that have come in the 35 years before. But I would not be standing here today without the support of 18,000 partners at Northern Trust. And I know generally where they are tonight. We've got a bunch of them here. But I will tell you, serving with this leadership team and these partners over the last 43 years has been incredibly meaningful to me. And I do say it's the greatest company in the world. We're not perfect. There is no perfect organization in the world, but we're pretty darn good. And having the ability to come work for this company without ever having been to Chicago and learning what we call our enduring principles, which this team every day brings to our company, are principles of service, expertise, and integrity. We think those are the 3 words that distinguish our culture. Service to clients, obviously we're a service organization. Service to each other. We refer to one another as partners. We're not a partnership, but partner evokes the kind of relationship and focus on teamwork that we highly value. And then, as Lizette mentions, giving back service to the communities, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. Expertise, Mary mentioned it, work hard, get an education, learn something that you can bring to the table that adds value. And I'll put our team up against any financial services institution in the world. Expertise matters. And the thing that distinguishes, and we see it unfortunately, we're almost every day on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, are companies that don't do the right thing and lack that commitment to integrity. And people ask me, well, how do you define integrity? I define integrity as always doing the right thing. And I tell, when I see do an orientation for new employees, I tell them, if you don't know what the right thing to do is, raise your hand, ask, escalate. And I tell them, and I told this to Mike O'Grady, the CEO that has succeeded me, if you don't know, if it's really important and you don't know what the right thing to do is, go see Mike or come see me, and we will resolve that issue. So service, expertise, and integrity, this team, it's what keeps me so excited about Northern Trust is our culture. Like Mary and David, who you will hear from, who are two great leaders, and congratulations to both Mary and David. I am truly honored to stand before you and to accept this award. And to know that previous honorees such as Brenda Barnes and John Rogers at Ariel Capital Management, who we had breakfast with today, and Joanne Smith at the Ability Lab, who does great work, John Rowe from Exelon, who is our lead director at Northern Trust. I mentioned Andy McKenna, who led Schwartz Paper for so many years and has been a civic and business leader in Chicago that everybody looks to. And of course, I wouldn't be here without the leadership and lessons I learned from my predecessor, Bill Osborne. Each member of the Chicago Business Hall of Fame has created, led, and grown important enterprises that have added to the economic, civic, cultural, and educational life of this wonderful city we call Chicago. The impact of these companies and these leaders cannot be underestimated. And we need many more great leaders. Why? Because, as pointed out by Arthur Brooks, and I'm a big Arthur Brooks fan, who is president of the American Enterprise Institute, over the last 200 years, the free enterprise system has been the single most important driver for lifting people out of poverty and into economic and financial security. Arthur likes to say, if you hate poverty, you will love capitalism. And I think that's absolutely correct. Literally, billions of people, and Arthur at the American Enterprise Institute has studied this, literally billions of people around the world have the benefit. Think of it, how simple it is. From access to open markets, property rights, the rule of law, and the dynamism of entrepreneurship. The ideals and innovations of capitalism have been responsible for a historic reduction in poverty worldwide, as people the world over have built companies that have benefited communities and improved the quality of life for all of us. So what does that mean for Chicago? As many of you know, the Commercial Club of Chicago and the Club Civic Committee, which I have the honor to be a part of and to lead, have for many years taken on some of our cities and our state's most pressing problems, such as education reform, O'Hare modernization, and our broken fiscal system. Today, one of Chicago's greatest needs is assessing the very high levels of unemployment in our neediest neighborhoods. Did you know that 1/3 of Chicago's 160,000 unemployed residents live in just 11 communities? Neighborhoods like Austin, 18% unemployment. Auburn Gresham, 24% unemployment. South Shore, 21%. North Lawndale, 22%, and Englewood, 35% unemployment rate. This is obviously a pressing issue for our entire city and the metropolitan areas because concentrated levels of unemployment in communities make them more vulnerable to crime, violence, and poor health and education outcomes. When one part of our city is hurting, it hurts everyone in some way. The Commercial Club, along with other civic organizations like the United Way, which was mentioned, that have been active through our Neighborhood Jobs Connection initiative, which connects area employers with untapped pools of talent in these specific communities. And while this is necessary and important work by the Chicago Community Trust, the Commercial Club, and the United Way, it's simply not enough. According to a recent Harvard study, only 42% of young Americans aged 18 to 29 have a favorable view of capitalism. How can we expect the youth of these 11 communities to go out and look for a job when they have generally such a poor perception of work and its benefits? And that's why what Junior Achievement does is so important. The work of JA, which is importantly done through our schools, helps to build at a very young age that sense of possibility, the importance of individual responsibility, and the courage to look to the future for opportunity. JA's involvement is substantial, as Rick indicated. Over 600,000 youth enrolled in JA programs in 29,000 classrooms and 1,400 schools. The numbers are staggering, but just as important, nearly 14,000 volunteers work to foster work readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. The leaders you have honored tonight and that JA has honored in the past have all shared these values. We need more leaders like Mary and David to address the significant problems facing Chicago today. Your involvement and, importantly, your financial support of JA and their good work will ensure that we continue to have a strong pipeline of leaders ready to grow our economy and add to the vitality of this great city that we call home, Chicago. Again, I am honored with this recognition, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this prestigious award. Thank you.
Mr. Waddell, thank you so much for making that connection between poverty, unemployment, and crime, especially here in our city. I see so much of it every day, and some people still don't understand how important it is for people to have jobs and be successful and have value and feel worthy and get out of the streets. So we're going to move on to our last and final student presenter. His name is Wilt Coleman Jr. He's going to introduce David Nelms. So Wilt is a third grader at Whittier Elementary School in Waukegan. Now, his favorite subject in school is science. He's very active. He enjoys playing soccer and football. And let me tell you how active he is. He says he can do 100 jumping jacks. He's got me beat by about 60. Unfortunately, we don't have time to let him do that tonight, but maybe when we go up for dinner, he might have some time to show off his skills. Last year, David Nelms personally volunteered in Wilt's second grade classroom, teaching Wilt and his peers how citizens can contribute to the community. Wilt's favorite memory from his Junior Achievement Day with David was the donut assembly line activity. I hope he talks about that too. Please welcome to the stage little Mr. Wilt Coleman Jr.
Thank you, Ms. Guzman. Tonight, I am honored to introduce David W. Nelms. Mr. Nelms is currently Executive Chairman of Discover Financial Services, a company he led for 20 years before retiring from his position as CEO on October 1st. Mr. Nelms' business career dates back to his days in high school in Florida, where he ran his own lawn service business. He continued with business at the University of Florida, where he owned, managed, and maintained many rental properties, which enabled him to pay for his own college education. In fact, he used to keep a chainsaw in his dorm room. Which was used for property maintenance, but probably wouldn't be allowed in a college dorm today. As hardworking as he was, Mr. Nelms wasn't all business. He has always enjoyed water sports, including boating, water skiing, and fishing. Today, he has his private pilot's license, and he flies his own plane, and he is definitely a family man. He met his wife, Daryl, in high school, and the two high school sweethearts later married, and they have 3 very successful sons. Mr. Nelms graduated from the University of Florida with a degree in mechanical engineering and later earned an MBA from Harvard. His early career included work as an engineer at a General Electric appliance factory, where he always worked to exceed expectations and to take on additional tasks, anything to expand his experience and horizons. His philosophy has always been that doing your best work will lead to future opportunities, and he was right. He later worked at Progressive Insurance and as a management consultant with Bain & Company, and it was while working as a consultant that his career took a new turn. After completing one consulting project, he was given a choice of new clients to work with. Following his own advice, he chose to take on a new challenge by working with a difficult client in financial services. In fact, when he first showed up at the client's office, they locked him out of the building. But Mr. Nelms persisted, won over the client, and eventually became vice chairman of the company. That company was MBNA, American Bank. In Mr. Nelms' leadership, there got him noticed by other companies. In 1998, he was recruited to lead Discover Financial Services. Discover was founded in 1986 as an innovative new credit card company of its own payments network. When Mr. Nelms joined Discover in 1998, it was primarily domestic credit cards, but since then it has grown significantly, expanding its product line to include deposit products and student personal and home equity loans, along with building an international payments network. Under Mr. Nelms' leadership, Discover achieved remarkable growth, increasing its loan portfolio from $33 billion to $84 billion, consumer deposits from $3 billion to $40 billion, network volume from $59 billion to $336 billion, and merchant acceptance of Discover Card from 3.6 million mainly domestic locations to 42 million locations around the world, making Discover the 3rd largest global payments network. Discover also set a high bar for profitability during Mr. Nelms' tenure, earning more than $40 billion in pre-tax profit over 20 years and achieving an average return on equity of 19%. Discover went public in 2007, and not surprisingly, Discover was the top performing stock in the S&P 500 over the past 10 years. Discover is also known as a leading corporate citizen. The company's Pathway to Financial Success program was launched in 2012. Discover helped bring financial education to more than 1 million students in 1,900 high schools across the nation. Through 13 million grants, Chicago Public Schools has been one of the primary beneficiaries of the Pathway program, receiving more than 1.4 million in grants for curriculum, materials, and teacher training. Mr. Nelms would probably be the first to trace his success but to his early involvement in junior achievement. As an upperclassman in high school, he got the chance to form a student-run company. He was named president of the company, and he learned about the stock market directly from a broker. The care and guidance he received as a JA student helped fuel his enthusiasm for the program in Chicago. He has served on the JA board of directors for 15 years, including as chairman of the board of 2013 to 2016, and despite his demanding schedule with Discover and the business community. He makes time to volunteer in a JA classroom each year, and he has fostered a wonderful partnership between Discover and JA of Chicago. Since 1992, Discover employees have taught nearly 2,000 JA classes in Chicago, and Discover is always one of JA's top financial supporters. In addition to his leadership at Discover and at JA, Mr. Nelms is a member of the boards of directors of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, CDW Corporation, the Executives Club of Chicago, the Financial Services Roundtable, and is a member of the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago. He is also a past member of the International Board of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And in 2012, he received the prestigious Father of the Year Award from the American Diabetes Association. Throughout his career, Mr. Nelms has been known for his strong leadership, giving back to the community, and for doing the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me welcoming a great friend of JA, Mr. David W. Nelms.
That is a hard act to follow. Fantastic. I can see myself back in those days, and as you heard, junior achievement has been a huge part of my history. I'm very honored to be inducted into the JA Hall of Fame. It was 40 years ago, actually, that I first joined that junior achievement company that was sponsored by a regional brokerage firm. We used to meet once a week and research various companies. At the end of the meeting, we would vote and decide which one share of stock to buy. We bought a share, I remember, of Sears and of Disney, Braniff Airlines back then. I think we sold it before it went bankrupt. I'd never really been in a business before, and actually going to a brokerage office and seeing how it worked and seeing the different roles really gave me something to think about. When I was in 10th grade and in junior achievement, my mom actually read a little paragraph in the St. Petersburg Times. They talked about a JA scholarship to Harvard Business School. It was sponsored by Arthur D. Little, who at the time was CEO of Textron. And I actually clipped that out and put it on my file cabinet next to my bed. And it was at that time that I just aspired to go to Harvard Business School later. And I later not only attended the school, I actually got the $10,000 scholarship along with some other people, and met Arthur D. Little. And I think for me, it really showed how much people in our position can impact, or people in companies broadly can impact people in ways that they never really will know, and how important it is to give back and to, in many ways, inspire the up-and-coming generations to be exposed to things and to accomplish things that they otherwise could not even dream of accomplishing. I think that it's my hope that JA's activities, whether in the classroom or events like this Hall of Fame, continue to inspire future generations towards free enterprise and financial success, just as JA inspired me. And apart from JA, the inspiration for my career is my wife of 37 years, Daryl. Please give her a big round of applause. I'm going to not talk too much more because I'm between you and dinner, and this has been a great program, but maybe just to expand briefly on something you heard about, which was how I got into credit cards and financial services. And it was at Bain & Company, and I was asked to go on Maryland National Corporation, which is now part of Bank of America, and I was given the option of three choices, three case teams. The first was the mortgage case team, and that was 60% plus of their revenues, so that would have been a natural choice. The second one was the corporate strategy team. That's really the sexy one. You get to work with the CEO and the board and corporate strategy. You know, as a 26-year-old, I'm not sure I was really qualified to do that, but that's not the door I chose either. The third one was this, at the time, small credit card company called MBNA America, which was described to me as, well, the case team last summer didn't do so well. They were kind of viewed as the corporate spies sent from corporate to the division, and it's a real tough client situation. But I immediately accepted that one, and I thought as an engineer, I'm really good at the math and the technical stuff. I could really polish my client skills. And I think it was a very tough first year. After getting locked out, we had repeated challenges during the whole year, but we never gave up. We did have a case team song. It was Don't Worry, Be Happy, and we literally played that song at our meetings during that year working with that client. But I think just a couple things. We heard a great video at the very beginning of kids thinking about what they want to do when they grow up. And no one thinks about growing up to become a credit card guy or a banker usually. But along the way you get exposed to things, you get excited by things, and in some ways your career, if you keep trying out different things and being exposed to different things, you can get really attracted to a career which I have just enjoyed so much, especially the last 20 years running Discover. And and I think the second thing is just never giving up. There's been plenty of adversity, and there was my boss at the time when I was at Bain. I would have given up. I was just, as I say, a 26-year-old or something consultant on a particular idea, and my boss kind of said, no, we should keep fighting for this. And again, he made a difference in my life and a difference ultimately in a business success. So I think continuing to push oneself, continuing to get exposed to new things, inspiring the next generation, and I think that will lead to some of the kids in this video are going to be the CEOs standing up on this stage 30 years from now. So with that, I again thank you for this fine honor, and thank you for supporting junior achievement.
Congratulations to you, Mr. Nelms, but I was really hoping to hear more about that chainsaw in the college dorm room. We're gonna have to talk at dinner. All right, thank you so much, David. We've celebrated so many great leaders across our city and really across our country and our world because these are the areas that they have impacted in the work that they have done. We also got a chance to look at those leaders through the eyes of our future, today's students. And we also want to thank those 3 students who served as speakers. They were so talented, enthusiastic, they were funny, they were cute. Yes, Wilt. Yes, so hats off to Wilt, Lizette, and Elise. We also want to thank our student ambassadors from Hester Junior High School in Franklin Park. Weren't they great as well? So earlier, these students practiced networking and sharing their future aspirations with our guests, and it was very inspiring to see how many amazing entrepreneurs we can expect to see doing great things, wonderful things. These are the leaders of our future. The Hester students have been a part of this event for over 15 years. And the students on stage tonight and those that we've met throughout the evening, they're perfect examples of how bright our future really is and how we must continue the mission to educate our students and give them opportunities in our free enterprise system. Just look where the youth can go and what they can achieve if we give them the tools to succeed. And a lot of times that's just our attention and advice and wisdom. So let's hear another round of applause for our laureates, our inductees into the 2018 Chicago Business Hall of Fame. That's Mary Dillon, Rick Waddell, and David Nelms. One more time. And now you are going to be rewarded for your patience. That's it for this program. It's time to head upstairs for a buffet dinner, and that will be followed by dessert. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.